Good evening, race fans, and welcome to race number 27 of the MSRA Rapid Fired Pizza Nationals. It is the Lone Star 232. My name is Mason Heimbaugh with Team Goon Squad, bringing you the action here tonight. 1080p, 60 frames a second, folks. I hope you all are ready as we are here tonight. Texas Motor Speedway, 232 miles around this racetrack, 155 laps in total for tonight's race. 35-lap stage break is when we will see that yellow flag fly for the first time here tonight. And tonight will be the first night of the playoffs, with the 12 drivers listed for us here right now. David Santini in that first spot, Colby Baber in second, Jeffrey Meyer in third, Evan Longacre in fourth, Kenny Meadows in fifth, Mike Howerton, Robert Cook, Billy Fitzgerald, John Binder, Barry Stevens, Brent Wall, and Kyle Mollering, all rounding out the field in the bottom four, obviously at risk of being put out of the playoffs here. But tonight, it is the first race of said playoffs, and drivers getting themselves ready for what is to come tonight, seeing what they can put down for their best times in qualifying, seeing how they're going to fare here tonight at Texas Motor Speedway, given that Texas can be pretty quick for these ovals. And I gotta say, with its rather unique layout, we'll definitely see a lot of speed down this back straightaway, where drivers can get a lot of momentum built up and can really get that car moving here. As right now, Jeffrey Meyer, the 50 machine, as well as Billy Fitzgerald and Kenny Meadows all round out the top three, with Jeffrey Meyer an impressive 29.45 as his best time here at Texas Motor Speedway. That is going to be well and ahead of Billy Fitzgerald by a few 100s here, and Kenny Meadows just a little bit further beyond that by 2/10. So as the field continues to put down laps here, Colby Baber, one of the drivers, looking to do so here as well. And there he goes up into the top five. But it's not quite going to be enough to put himself in the top three this time around. And that does appear to be the end of his one and only qualifying lap here today. I'm not sure if they only get one or if there is two allocated for these drivers. But anyway, anyhow, I also have a little bit of a side note, a little bit of information that I think is pretty cool. A random driver, a non-playoff driver, will win $10 for every race of the playoffs, and the 13th place finisher in the points will receive $50 courtesy of Jeffrey Meyer and Nitro Racing. So that's pretty cool. 13th place reward, you don't get that too often, so I think there's going to be a little bit of a scramble for that position potentially. But right now, the battle for the actual championship, or the Drivers' Championship, has also heated up quite well here, with Colby Baber, Evan Longacre, David Santini all in the top three. Colby Baber with 780 points at this point in time. Heck, Evan Longacre 773, only 7 points separating these two drivers for that lead spot. So going to potentially see a lot of action between these two drivers throughout the rest of the season, and David Santini in that third place spot here with the most wins amongst any of the drivers in the series, or in this season so far. And yet right now only 25 points behind the leader of Colby Baber with 755 points. So really, we've got quite the points battle brewing up here going into the playoffs. This is obviously, again, the first race of said playoffs. So we're going to get an idea of what we are going to see for the remainder of this season, and what drivers really are going to try and do, what their strategies are going to be, how they're going to handle the next few races. And taking a look at our season schedule here, being that we are in the round of 12. Next week will be Talladega Super Speedway, and the week after that will be the Charlotte Roval. Road course racing always posing some interesting challenges for drivers, so that'll be unique to see. And going on into the round of 8, we have Las Vegas Motor Speedway, Homestead, Martinsville, and last and certainly not least, Nashville Super Speedway. But that is going to conclude our qualifying. Let's go ahead and get our starting grid up here today. And starting off in the front row, Jeffrey Meyer, Jesus Andrade. I hope I said that right. In the first row, Billy Fitzgerald. In the second row with Kenny Meadows, Colby Baber starting off our third row alongside Evan Longacre. Fourth row is Matthew Dyer, Jamie Knopp. Fifth row, Derek Whitford and John Binder. Matt Knight in 11th and Robert Cook in 12th place. Moving ourselves on down the grid. Chad Goodingsman in 13th, Stephen Davis in 14th, David Santini in 15th, Mike Howerton in 16th, Barry Stevens in 17th, Rick Webb in 18th, Chris Hansen in 19th, and Kyle Mollering in 20th. So that'll be our starting grid here today as we await our drivers to get themselves onto the track and ready for tonight's race. And I have been informed as well that the rewards being given out for the $10 to a random driver as well as $50 to the 13th place finisher in the points is a sponsorship, and it is by Jeffrey Meyer and Nitro Racing. So huge shout out, huge thank you to Jeffrey Meyer as well as Old School Ninjas and Rapid Fired Pizza. Without all these sponsors, without all of these people coming together and really just pouring their heart into racing, essentially what it comes down to, that is what allows us to put on these great races. It really allows us up here in the booth and for everyone watching at home to witness them. Because without these sponsors, it just wouldn't quite be possible. These guys would just be racing amongst each other, and what's the fun in that? And so we're just waiting for the pace car. There it goes. Now we make our way out of pit lane. There we can see all of the cars departing out of their starting lineup down the pit road. I've also received word, well, we'll get there eventually, but part of the goal of coming here to MSRA, bringing these broadcasts to you live, is learning everyone's name properly and learning how to say them. One of them being Chad Jenningsman is how I have been told that is correctly pronounced. Chad, I am sorry for saying your name incorrectly all this time. Hopefully now I say it correctly from here on out, as well as everyone else in the field. Jeffrey Meyer, though, we take the green flag, and he is in the lead at this moment, coming out of turn 2, down the back straight away. 2 wide, 3 deep, it looks like here in the top 7, top 8 at this point in time. Single file developing for the top 3. Kenny Meadows, Colby Baber going to be side by side, though, as we come out of turn 4, looking out and across the checkered line, continuing along side by side. Everyone else behind them and in front of them going single file for the most part, expecting a long race here, 155 laps at Texas Motor Speedway. It's going to be a long time behind the wheel here tonight, and drivers have to be prepared for that. But also got to bear in mind that we are going, a little bit of a wobble here from the number 2 of Matthew Dyer. Just below Meadows here in the Rolex 96 car. A battle for the lead developing, though, with the number 7 down on the inside of Jeffrey Meyer. Jesus Andrade, I hope I'm saying that one correctly here. Getting in front of the 50 driver as well as Billy Fitzgerald. They're going to duke it out side by side down the back straight. Heading into turn number 3, the 22 going to have the inside line advantage here. Meyer going to get shuffled out to the outside lane. No one around to help him either. He is going to find himself down back into 5th place here with Kenny Meadows hot on his heels. As we come back across the checkered line, lap 4 of 155. As the front of the field continues to go single file for the most part, at least what it seems like, it's actually starting to see a little bit of action happening up there. Kenny Meadows down on the inside of Meyer. They're side by side, almost contact between the two of them just a moment ago, but Meadows able to steer clear of it, keep himself ahead of the 50 machine. Come into turn number 3. Meadows able to now get up onto the rear bumper of the 95 of Evan Longacre. Meadows down on the inside of Longacre, going through turn 1 and coming out of 2, down the back straight away. Meadows here, one of the drivers, honestly, in this series that always performs very well throughout these races and always puts himself up there in the top 3, the top 5, where have you. And his average finish, surprisingly, is about 9th place, so that's right on par with what I would expect here from Kenny Meadows. I mean, always in the top 10. Just a great driver overall, and to see that Rolex machine, just one of my favorite cars to see out here on track. A great looking scheme on that 96 car. But continuing on with the race, though, Billy Fitzgerald, he's able to take the lead, and doing so with a pretty significant gap here early on, about almost a second between himself and 2nd place, as we have a yellow flag with John Binder involved in this one. You can see the yellow smoke as he's coming out of pit road, but he did not go into pit road that way. Let's take a look at the instant replay here. Gets the 33 machine sideways. The 78 machine does as he makes contact into the rear end. 33 goes sideways for a little ride across the grass on the front straight. And right here, well, just continues on spinning around and able to, there's the lockup there from the tires, finally trying to get that car down to a stop. But when you're in the grass, there's not really a whole lot that you can do. Able to finally get it safely onto the pavement of pit road. But ultimately, that's going to come at the cost of coming down 10 spots from where he was, or at least where he started here tonight. Having started in 10th place, now going to be in the dead last spot in 20th at this point. So, bummer for John Binder in the 33 machine. in that situation, and I'm sure that Barry Stevens in that 78 car definitely has given his apologies more than once at this point in time. So drivers getting themselves ready for the next restart here. As we come down the back straight, lights are still off on the pace car. I believe we still have 2 more laps to go before we see that pace car make its dive back down into pit lane, and we get ourselves back to green flag. But right now, Billy Fitzgerald, Jesus Andrade, Kenny Meadows, all in our top 3. And I do have to mention here as well, drivers that are in the playoffs can be found with the red spoilers as well as the Nationals banner that is on their windshields here. So you can see Billy Fitzgerald there. He's got the Nationals banner there on the front of his car with the red spoiler. We also have Kenny Meadows just behind him. Well, actually, no. Kenny Meadows decided not to put that on there. He's like, you know what? I'm not going to ruin that beautiful paint scheme of the 90s. He does have the national banner there on his windshield, so he at least has some portion of it. But anyhow, you can still see some of the playoff drivers there if you are looking at their windshield and see that I believe it's supposed to be the red banner on their windshield as well as the red spoiler. So just keep an eye out for that if you are looking for your driver that is in the playoffs and want to make sure that they still are competing in that playoffs. That is a good way to tell here tonight. But here at Texas Motor Speedway, folks, I got to say it is definitely a long time behind the pace car when the caution does come out. So a little bit of a break for drivers, but let's see if that has any effect on their pace here as we come back to green flag. Billy Fitzgerald, not hesitant at all here, getting himself ahead of this field as quickly as he possibly can. Side-by-side action between Evan Longacre, Colby Baber. And it appears that we are having David Santini, the 79 machine, for some reason or another, his paint scheme is not showing up here. We will hopefully get that fixed here momentarily, but for the time being, Kenny Meadows getting trailed down by Jesus Andrade and Colby Baber at this point in time. Lap 13 of 155. Single file for the most part, as we've seen throughout this race here already tonight. So not too surprising to see them go back into that single file groove that we've seen right towards the beginning. And as we are approaching halfway to that first day, or well, the stage caution of the race, lap 35 is when that will occur here tonight. But we're going to take a step away from the booth here for just a momentary second, folks, just to resolve this, well, rather minor issue, but still like to have everyone's car showing up the way that it should be. So we'll be back in just a few seconds. Stay tuned, don't go anywhere, and we'll be back for more of, I gotta find it, the Lone Star 232. Stay tuned, folks. We'll be back. We'll be right back. Alrighty, folks, welcome back to the race here, and it does not appear that the 79 drivers' paint is going to be showing up for us here tonight. I'm not entirely certain why, so David, if you are watching, I do apologize for that, but I am not 100% certain what's going on with that one, but we're going to continue on with the race, and if you're looking for David Santini, the 79 driver, just look for the plain white machine at this point. Because that's about what we're going to be able to work with at this moment. And we've got quite the pack building up here for what is essentially the battle for, looks to be fourth place, with Evan Longacre, the 95 machine, leading this pack of drivers around the track at this moment. We've also got the 28 of Jamie Knopf staying right below Colby Baber here, trying to get a move here. Jeffrey Meyer looking for a move as he goes down to the inside. The 50 machine getting stacked up right behind. Jamie Knopf backs up as he was mighty close there to the rear end of that 28 machine. Narrowly avoiding contact there, but luckily able to avoid that here tonight. But taking a look throughout this field, not a whole lot of aggressive action happening, as again, there's a whole lot. Texas Motor Speedway, it's a big track. There's a lot of room to work with. Frankly, the racing, there's really only one line that you can use here, it seems like, as everyone is all opting to take that same bottom lane through these turns, kind of. Oh yeah, no, if you're riding with everyone in the line, you can see the groove itself. Let's take a look actually from the inside of Colby Baber's 10 machine, give us a little bit of an idea of how these drivers are handling this track here tonight at Texas Motor Speedway. Coming down the back straightaway, we're looking behind Jamie Knopf, Evan Longacre, Colby Baber, the current leader in the championship for points, looking to gain as many positions as he possibly can. But as we come across the line here at least one more time around, it'll only be 10 laps before we see that yellow flag come out. Drivers are able to get themselves down into pit lane if they haven't already, and so far it seems like the only two drivers, oh boy, not exactly great timing here, as Matt Knight is going to be involved in an incident here. Looking at the 25 machine, he makes contact. Who was that there? Let's take this back here just a little bit. The 51 machine of Mike Howerton. He gets, right into the rear end. And look at the front end of that 25 car. It is obliterated. There is no... I don't think there's going to be a lot of things that the pit crew can do to that 25 machine to get it drivable again, or at least racing again. It would require quite a lot of work, and he'll probably be down there for some time if that's what he intends to do. And more drivers giving a fake out down into pit lane. Some drivers opting to take it here. Derek Whitford, Chad Jenningsman, Rick Webb, Stephen Davis, all going to come down into pit road here on this second caution of the race. Just a few laps before, we are expected to see the stage caution on lap 35. Now, you know, one thing I've always kind of thought about too, especially for, you know, like NASCAR and things like that, how they have stages. And this is only just a theory. Now, I'm not saying that Rapid Fire Pizza should do that, or any of the leagues that we commentate for should do it, but it's purely an idea, and I think it'd be kind of neat to see is that, if there are, you know, a certain number of cautions, or if a caution happens a certain number of laps before the expected, before the stage break. So, let's say, for example, 10 laps. So right now we would be in that window, and if that happens, then there is no stage caution. We continue to go green flag. And the theory is behind that is, well, we've already come down into pit road at that point. It's within 10 laps. Is there really a point to have another caution come out only 10 laps later? Or however many laps? Again, it's just an idea. But I think it would be interesting to see if that was a kind of rule implemented in a series. But as the pace car makes its way across the checkered line, the lights go off, telling us up here in the booth that it is one lap to go before we see the checkered flag, before we see the green flag drop here once again at Texas Motor Speedway. So our lineup here as we come out of turn number 4. Billy Fitzgerald, Kenny Meadows in the front row. Jesus Andrade, Evan Longacre in our second row. Jamie Knopp, David Santini in our third row. As we come into the Geico restart zone, the green flag will drop here once more at Texas Motor Speedway. And it'll be a short 7 laps before we see that yellow flag come out here once more. Driver looking way bent out of shape here. The 78 of Barry Stevens. Not sure what happened, but he went down to the bottom of the racetrack. Almost making contact with some drivers, it looked like, but at least from that camera angle. Not sure if that was the case or not, but either way, able to keep it clean and get himself back on the racetrack here. Jamie Knopp on the inside of Evan Longacre. We see David Santini here in the all-white machine. Up on top of Colby Baber, Jeffrey Meyer, the 50 just behind them. Just trailing along, seeing who's going to make a mistake, seeing what line's going to be faster. As we come into turn number 3, side by side. between these 4 drivers. Kenny Meadows just ahead of them. Just hoping and praying that that pack of drivers doesn't get close to them. But it won't matter here for too long, as in about 5 laps, it's going to be the stage break. Drivers are going to be able to take a little bit of a breather here once again. Get themselves down into pit lane. Get a fresh set of tires, get some fuel, so on and so forth. Jamie Knopf looking down on the inside of Kenny Meadows here. Meadows not really giving too much of a fight here. Everyone knowing that here in a few laps, they're all going to be coming down into pit lane anyway, at least the majority of them, I would have to imagine. Some of them might stay out here. There might be some drivers opting to stay out ahead of this stage break. We have Rick Webb, Derek Whitford, Robert Cook, John Binder and Stephen Davis, as well as Chad Jenningsman, who appears to have taken it behind the wall tonight. That's going to be the end of his race in the 9 car. So unfortunate to see that here for Chad Jenningsman. But ultimately having done all that he can in this race here tonight, and unfortunately finding himself involved in a pretty gnarly wreck here tonight. Or actually, no, I was thinking of Matt Knight. I'm not sure why Chad Jenningsman is out of the race here, but either way, either how, we've still got action developing out on the track. We've got battles happening for the top 5 positions. Jesus Andrade, Jamie Knopf, both duking it out side by side for the 2nd place position here. Behind them, it's more battles happening for this one for 7th place with Kenny Meadows, Colby Baber, Evan Longacre, all in a line fighting down the back straightaway heading into turn 3. Jamie Knopf, meanwhile, up ahead of the rest of the field. The 28 driver able to get up in front and stay ahead of this field. And there it is, the stage break caution coming out here. Lap 36 of 155. Still a long race left to go here tonight at Texas Motor Speedway. And so as we have this stage break, and while drivers get themselves down into pit road, get their fresh set of fuel, get their tires, what have you, we're going to go ahead, step away from the booth for a minute, take a commercial break, and when we come back, we'll get ourselves ready for what will be the hopefully final half of tonight's race for the Lone Star 232. Stay tuned, folks, and we'll be right back for more iRacing right here on Team Goon Squad. Welcome back, race fans. As we see drivers now making their way out of pit road. I was correct in my assumption earlier that we were going to see a couple drivers opt to stay out here. Derek Whitford, Rick Webb, going to be those two drivers that are going to do so. Starting off on 10-lap older tires, technically 12, here on this restart. So everyone able to get out, and most of the field, at least in the top 5, were able to either get their position back or gain positions here. Jamie Knopf, I mean, while he was battling alongside Jesus Andrade for that second place spot before we seen this caution, I mean, he's back out here in 4th place right behind the 22 of Billy Fitzgerald, so he's still in a good position. And being behind two drivers that are going to be starting off on 10-lap older tires is going to potentially play in the favor of these guys here. So for Derek Whitford and Rick Webb, while it's going to be, satisfactory to be able to be up here in the front of the field, clicking off some laps in the lead, how long they're going to be able to do that, kind of the question here at this moment. But again, it's still a long race here tonight at Texas Motor Speedway, 155 laps in total, and we have yet to break the even halfway mark of tonight's race. So still a while to go, and still a lot of good action to catch here tonight for race number 27 of the MSRA 2022 Rapid Fire Pizza Nationals. Also brought to you by our good sponsors, Old School Ninjas, as well as Jeffrey Meyer and Nitro Racing. Coming down the back straightaway, getting ourselves ready to go back to green flag. The pace car is, the lights are out. As we come through turns 3 and 4. Pace car will make its dive down into pit lane, and we enter into the Geico restart zone. And back to green flag racing here at Texas Motor Speedway for the Lone Star 232. Derek Whitford off to a good start, but Billy Fitzgerald down to the inside of Rick Webb in the number 52 machine. Able to make a really good run here. The 52 going to get stuck up on the outside. There's contact, though, in the midfield. Oh, no. Kenny Meadows, the 96 machine. He goes up and over the safety barrier fencing here at Texas Motor Speedway. Folks, this would be an absolute disaster. Oh, my. Kenny Meadows going to be wedged right in the middle of the track here. Let's take a look at the instant replay of this one and see exactly just what happened. Oh, we can see the 28 of Jamie Knopf. He gets sideways right into the front right of Kenny Meadows. Oh my. Oh my, it only gets worse for Kenny Meadows. And you know what? I got to back this up here. I got to look at this from the inside of Kenny Meadows' machine, because this must have just been an incredible ride here in the 96 car. Let's ride from the passenger side of Kenny Meadows' 96 machine and get an idea of exactly what just happened here. Oh boy, oh boy. And just gets stuck right between. Oh no. And if we look down, as we come down the back straightaway, we can still see the 96 machine stuck there on the top of the racetrack. Now, if I'm not mistaken, if for this series in particular, if you, in iRacing, what you can do normally, you can hit a button, you can hold a button, whatever the case may be, to get a tow back to pit lane, and essentially resets your car, brings you back to pit lane. But if you do that here in this league, it comes at the cost of a penalty, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but I do believe that is the case. I would have to go back and look at the rules again to verify that, but I would say that is a good reason as to why Kenny Meadows is still stuck there in the wall. But it appears that they were able to get him out, and they are now bringing him down into pit lane, and pit crew going to start working on that 96 car and get it ready for the next 110 laps of this race, or as much of it as they possibly can here. That was a nasty hit to the front, well, to the whole car. And as we come out of the back straightaway into turn 3 and coming out of turn 4, you can see the damage on some of these cars from earlier incidents. now making their way back out onto the racetrack and getting themselves ready for tonight action. Derek Whitford, Billy Fitzgerald going to be up in the front starting this next restart as we come into the Geico restart zone. The green flag drops here once again at Texas Motor Speedway. Billy Fitzgerald up on the top of Jesus Andrade at this moment. As we come through 1 and 2, you see David Santini, the all-white machine here. I think he might have had some trouble with his overlays at some point or another here, but either way, either how, we still know who he is and where he is on the track, so that's all we need to know at this moment. And at this point, David Santini up 12 spots from where he started in tonight's race, so up into the top 3 from the basically outside of the top 10. Incredible from the 79 driver of David Santini. Looking a little bit on further back here, drivers a little bit closer together with one another, having more opportunities for battles coming out of 4. And Robert Cook, the 64 Wrangler machine, going to be ahead of Rick Webb, Barry Stevens as we come through turn 1. Actually, that does not appear to be Rick Webb like I was alluding to. That is, or maybe it is. It is Rick Webb. Okay, so Rick Webb showing as the 25 on his, or the 52 on his car, but in timing and scoring it is showing him as the number 3. So my apologies if I do get that incorrect here from time to time, but we'll just work with it and keep it going here. David Santini, though, making the move up on the inside of Jesus Andrade. Colby Baber going to be looking to do the same thing here. The points leader in the championship, trying to find his way into the top 3 for tonight's race. Lap 49 of 155. It's still just over 100 laps to go before we see the checkered flag. So a lot of action still left here and still a lot of strategy to be played out for today's race. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see some shaking and baking happen down in pit road if we see some solid green flags run happening here throughout tonight's race. So just have to wait and find out. Derek Whitford, though, meanwhile, he's keeping himself up in the front with just over a half a second gap between himself and the rest of this field. David Santini starting to, well, actually, it seems like he's holding off of the pace of Derek Whitford at this moment. Not 100% certain why, unless it's just purely by the chance that he's getting up into more, well, actually, he might just be getting into the dirty air behind Derek Whitford and trying to break through it, and it appears to be that he's going to do so here. Now trailing behind one of the drivers who, again, opted to come down into pit road during the second caution of tonight's race and get a fresh set of tires, fuel, what have you. And during that third caution, during the stage break, I should say, didn't go down into pit road with the rest of the field, opted to stay out. So he's going to be on slightly older tires than the rest of this field here, and it's already starting to show as Santini, Jesus, Colby Baber, they all continue to track down this leader at this moment, and I don't think it'll be long before we see Santini up there in the front, leading some laps here tonight. I gotta say, this has been some pretty calm racing tonight at Texas Motor Speedway. Not a whole lot of beating and banging happening despite the cautions that we've seen. Even the extravagant ones like Kenny Meadows that we saw just a little bit ago. Not a whole lot of drivers getting involved in wrecks here tonight, so a lot of clean racing that we've seen throughout tonight's race. So really good to see. And there it is, like I was expecting. David Santini taking the lead here ahead of Derek Whitford, but Derek is not exactly giving up too easily as Santini makes that pass into the front. This 44 machine definitely putting up a fight and trying to keep up with the 79 as much as he can, but overall, good moves here from Santini, and as he continues to work his way ahead of Derek Whitford and the rest of the field, you know, I wouldn't be too surprised if he's going to be able to build himself up a nice, considerable gap here tonight for the next stint. So, looking a little bit further as well, if I can find... So, I don't have an exact estimate for our pit laps here, but what I do know is that we have 4 additional sets of tires behind the wall, so we've already gone through 1 set. Now, we can assume that we're probably going to go through at least 2 more before we see the end of tonight's race. Now, the next time that we come down pit road, it'll probably be... Well, looking at timing and scoring right now, I'm going to have to go with about lap 80 is when I'm going to expect to see these guys come down into pit lane for maybe a little bit earlier, give or take 5 laps. So 75, 85, we'll go with that margin. Single file throughout a majority of this field. It's lap 60 of 155. A lot of this action has steadily worked its way out, and most drivers are able to kind of get into their own little groove and see what they can do in their own right here. So while that happens, folks, let's go ahead and let's ride on board with Jeffrey Meyer here, and let's take a lap or 2 around Texas Motor Speedway and listen to the sights and sounds and enjoy the action here for the Lone Star 232. Right as we were about to enjoy the action there, a caution comes out with Matthew Dyer involved. So let's take a look at the instant replay here. Jeffrey Meyer looks to, well, it might have even been Matthew was trying to get down to the inside lane there, didn't quite have enough room to make it work, ultimately causing the contact there. But lap 62 of 155 for our 5th caution of the race here tonight. It has been a tricky night here at Texas Motor Speedway, it seems like, but only for a couple drivers at a time. So haven't exactly seen the big one come out yet, but that isn't to say that there will be one later tonight. So just got to keep our eyes open for that and see if there is going to be any sort of action in that regard. Drivers making their way back out onto pit road. We are going to take it around Texas Motor Speedway a couple times before we see the green flag drop here once again. We're the Lone Star 232. Lights are off on the pace car as we come out of turn number 2, out onto the back straightaway, getting ourselves ready to go back to green flag here for race number 27 of the 2022 Midwest Sim Racing Association Rapid Fire Pizza Nationals here at Texas Motor Speedway. Pace car is in. Davidson Tini, Jesus Andrade. In the front row, Colby Baber, Evan Longacre in our second row, Billy Fitzgerald, Derek Whitford in our third row. Back to green flag racing here at Texas Motor Speedway. Colby Baber, Jesus Andrade. Going into turn 1, Jesus going to fall off a little bit. Falling back side by side here with Evan Longacre for a moment. He's going to fall back now into 4th place. Is now Billy Fitzgerald, the 22 machine, the previous leader. Going to look down onto the inside and work his way up into 5th place here. Great action here, the 44 with Kyle Mollering and Derek Whitford. Bumper to bumper action as we come back into turn number 1. These drivers all duking it out here. We are now past the halfway marker. Well, excuse me, no we're not. We still got a few laps left to go. About 10 more laps to be exact before we reach that halfway mark. Single file action happening down the back straightaway. Everyone just trying to get themselves a good lineup here. Good pace, good momentum. Mike Howerton, the 51 machine, getting himself stacked up behind Derek Whitford. Only inches between himself and the 44 machine, practically giving him a push. Down the front straightaway, back into turns 1 and 2 as they now reach the 84 and the 7 of Kyle Mullering and Jesus Andrade. Down the back straightaway, continuing the action here tonight at Texas Motor Speedway for the Lone Star 232, brought to you by Rapid Fire Pizza, Old School Ninjas, Jeffrey Meyer, and Nitro Racing. Big shout out, big thank you to all of our sponsors for putting on this series and allowing us to be here to broadcast these events. Everyone here just getting themselves good lineups on lap 72 of 155. Not a whole lot of drivers trying to get too aggressive here at this point in the race, and frankly, I don't blame them, especially knowing, well, actually, most of the field having come down through pit lane during the last caution kind of gives everyone a fresh run here. So now, looking at it, I don't think we're going to see drivers come in to pit road again until probably, I would have to say, about lap 110, potentially, 100, 110. Somewhere in that neighborhood is where I think these drivers are going to make their way down through pit road again if we stay green. Now, right now, I don't want to jinx anything, but things have been quite sporadic here, so I don't want to jinx anything at this moment. But everyone seems to be doing pretty well at this moment, keeping everything green and clean at this point in time. And with how much distance we have between the field at this point, not a whole lot of drivers stacked up right next to each other and so on and so forth. This is probably the densest part of the track at this point. So you can see it's a little cut off there on the bottom right-hand side of your screen, and I do apologize for that, but you can get an idea of where some of our drivers are on the track, with the 79 driver, David Santini, leading this race here tonight as we come across the checkered line. It's lap 76 of 155 here at Texas Motor Speedway. And so since we didn't get a chance to before that last caution came out, let's go ahead. We're going to ride on board with one of our drivers and just appreciate the sights and sounds here at Texas Motor Speedway, alongside with Derek Whitford here in the 44 machine. good runs there from Derek Whitford. As we're now looking with Evan Longacre and Billy Fitzgerald, Jesus Andrade, as they make their way across the checkered line. Heading in through turns 1 and 2, Evan Longacre looking to track down Colby Baber, who's just barely ahead a second at this point in time. David Santini going to be almost a second and 3/4 ahead of this field at this point in time, and I gotta say that is rather impressive. And right now between Evan Longacre and David Santini, it is 2.5 seconds. So the 79 driver definitely knows what he is doing here at Texas Motor Speedway, and it shows. So great work here from David. Let's see if anyone else in the field is going to have any tricks in the hat tonight for pit strategy, as we still have one of those left to go before the end of tonight's race. So I'm excited to see if there's going to be any kind of, again, this all depends on if we see a long green flag run before that caution comes out. If that's the case, well, I said that wrong, but I said it before the caution comes out. Let's hope that we don't see another caution here. I definitely want to see these guys get a green flag run all the way to the checkered flag, because at this point, it seems like they've had plenty of opportunities for that, and someone potentially just blew their engine down in pit road, but I'm not sure exactly if that's the case, but I heard somebody definitely pushed a rod through their block, so I'm not sure who it was, but it might have been someone down in pit road that has been out of the race here for some time, and that car's just been idling for so long that it finally decided enough was enough. Lap 85 of 155. Well, 86 now as we cross the checkered line. Still a lengthy race left here for the Lone Star 232. And right now, David Santini is the driver to beat, as he has been leading for quite some time, has quite the gap between himself and the rest of the field. Ooh, that was quite the slide from the 95 of Evan Longacre, able to keep it together, coming across the checkered line back into turn number 1. Driver's going to be looking for any opportunity to get themselves a position ahead, and that is one way to do it. Seeing your opponent start to slide, give a little bit of a wiggle to that rear end, that's when you know their tires are starting to give way. They're definitely going to be fighting that car, and it's going to be tricky on these exits. So Evan Longacre doing a great job, though, of showing he has that 95 machine under control. So as we look a little bit further back here, just taking a look, seeing where the field is currently at. We're riding from the blimp camera at this point in time as they come down the back straightaway heading into turn number 3. Hopefully, as we pan a little bit further, we'll kind of be able to see more of the field going through turn 1 here, but the blimp might be a little bit too close here tonight for our liking. But That is A-okay. We're going to continue to take a look at some of the battles happening out on the field. Evan Longacre for that third place position, starting to see Billy Fitzgerald, who led this race previously, along with Jesus Andrade, who's been up here in the top 5, the top 3 for that matter, looking to get themselves back into those positions where they saw themselves before. And gotta say, Billy Fitzgerald is definitely on a mission here, getting a little bit of support, it seems like, from the 7. Not sure what that was, though. It almost looked like he slowed down a little bit there. Not sure if that was just the little bit of camera trickery there, or what the deal there was, but Billy Fitzgerald going to fall right behind Jesus here into that 5th place spot. Jesus going to make a challenge, or at least attempt to, out of turn number 2 onto the back straightaway, looking to get himself up into the top 3 for tonight's race. Lap 92 of 155. It's getting down to the wire here, folks. David Santini, Colby Baber, they've pretty much checked out from this field. The only thing that's going to be bringing them back around is pit stops here. And even then, they're not exactly going to be close to the well, it depends on where they come out. That could get rather interesting. Jesus Andrade going into turn number 1, overshoots it. A little bit of a slide through 1 and 2, able to recover back on the back straightaway. Falls back into 5th place here behind Billy Fitzgerald. John Binder, the 33 machine, the driver who made contact with Kenny Meadows and sent him flying over the barricade here. Down on the back straightaway, actually. You can see the front end of that car just completely missing. So lap 96 of 155. We're getting closer to that estimated, well, guesstimated, really, pit stop that I was kind of predicting here for these drivers before the end of the race. I know that they're going to have to come down one more time before the checkered flag. I'm not 100% sure when. Now, I did say about lap 100 to 110 would be about the point where these drivers would want to come down, get a fresh set of tires, get fuel, whatever the case may be. And looking at things right now, it definitely seems like tire wear is starting to affect these drivers. Some drivers showing their long run speed, others showing that they are a lot more effective in the short run. So potentially here in the next few laps, I do expect to see someone kind of take the bullet here and head down into the pits. But it's just a matter of who, and I'd almost imagine, you know, David Santini, Colby Baber, they're in really good spots right now. If they come down even right now, well, actually, that would still mean they would have to come down again before the end of the race. So okay, so they might be staying out here to another 10 laps at least. breaking the 100 laps here at Texas Motor Speedway. We can see the different manufacturers and where they place. Currently on the left side of our screen. Just taking a look, getting more of the field in our view here tonight, seeing where everyone is kind of placing themselves at this point in the race as we get closer to winding things up, or winding things down rather. Good battles happening here for 6th place between Mike Howerton and Jeffrey Meyer. I'm also glad to see the 96 of Kenny Meadows back out here on track after he was involved in quite the incident just a little bit ago, finding himself inside the safer barrier. And luckily that pit crew able to bang out that race car enough to be able to put him back out on the track. As now Santini here starting to see a little bit of a drop off from his pace. Evan Longacre, oh boy, we've got some action here, 3 wide. Evan Longacre, Mike Howerton, they make contact with one another. Turns 1 and 2, out onto the back straightaway. Jeffrey Meyer able to get himself ahead of it. Howerton keeping himself right behind Evan Longacre here. The 95 machine trying to build up some speed, some momentum out of turn 4. Out onto the front straightaway, the 84 machine of Kyle Mollering. Also getting himself into the action here as we go back into turn number 1. These drivers really starting to heat things up as we enter the final 50 laps here at Texas Motor Speedway. Mike Howerton looking for that move down on the inside here again with Evan Longacre going back into turn number 1. Longacre keeping himself side by side. There's about a car length between them. Down the back straightaway they go. Howerton not able to keep up with the momentum of the 95 machine as we come through turns 3 and 4. Howerton putting up everything that he's got here, looking to push his way up into the top 5. As this battle for 6th place continues on, Evan Longacre showing some good momentum here in this long run, now that he's kind of had some time to recollect himself after falling down the field a little bit, but showing that he still has it in these later portions of the stage, if you will. David Santini continuing to show a little bit of pace drop off here with Colby Baber starting to reel him in little by little. And as we come across the checkered line, lap 109 of 155, so drivers might stay out a little bit longer than what I was predicting. And after the next lap around, it'll be 48 laps. Roughly is how long they'll have been on the set of tires here, as well with their fuel. So surprised at how long they're able to stay out here at Texas, but they might also be pushing things a little bit further than expected. So, which a lot of times I'm not too surprised to see. They're going to keep going until they're basically on fumes coming through pit road. So we may see that happen here tonight. I'm not 100% certain, but it looks like Colby Baber, David Santini, they're going to continue to rip it around under green flag here, as there goes Jeffrey Meyer. The 50 machine with a little bit of a wobble, but no smoke coming from the tires. Able to get across the commitment line into pit lane and get himself down into the pits, get those fresh set of tires, fuel, and get himself ready for the final 44 laps of tonight's race. Derek Whitford making his way down into pit road. I'm curious, folks. I'm really interested to see who's going to come down into pit road amongst the drivers in the lead. David Santini, Colby Baber. Both having come down lap 62 during that last caution involving Matthew Dyer. Mike Howerton, the 51 car, he's going to make his way now into pit road as well. Mike Howerton making his way out of pit road in the Area 51 machine. I wonder if he's got any aliens in the back seat of there. But anywho, anyhow, while it's a pretty slow process for these drivers at this moment making their way down through pit road, it seems like I was a little off on the estimate there for how long these guys could stay out on a set of tires by so far 5 laps, but let's see just how many these guys are going to be able to stay out here before they decide enough is enough and the car is basically undrivable. But so far no one really showing any signs of that quite yet. I mean, we're seeing some drivers getting a little loose here and there, but not too much. And surprisingly enough, everyone is looking very solid out here at Texas. And as we are under the lights here, the track should be pretty well cool. I mean, it should be a pretty grippy track to drive on at this point in time. Hopefully it's not too slick, as sometimes you can get a track that just feels like glass and you're fighting to get any grip that you can. But tonight it doesn't seem to be too terrible. Drivers are doing pretty well keeping their cars in line. A lot of the incidents that we've seen tonight have been purely just drivers just really putting on good performances, trying to do all that they can to get themselves a position, so on and so forth. But overall, I gotta say, it has been good racing here tonight at Texas Motor Speedway. For the 2022 MSRA Rapid Fire Pizza Nationals, Colby Baber makes his way down into pit road. The second place driver going to say enough is enough here, or maybe even say he's going to get himself in before the leader, David Santini, Billy Fitzgerald, and put himself in a good position going into the remainder of tonight's race. Let's see where he comes out once things are all said and done. As we see David Santini, Billy Fitzgerald, they both are going to make their way down here into pit road now as well. The 79 and 22 machine, both going to come in and get a fresh set of Goodyears and fill up on fuel. Jesus Andrade, the 7 machine, a lot of... Nope, never mind. Looking at the wrong machine there. The low 7 machine going to stay out a little bit longer than the rest of the field, but now coming down lap 119 of 155. Good entry into pit road there. Excellent driving from the 7 driver. As the only few drivers left to come down into pit road, Evan Longacre, Stephen Davis, both still yet to come down into the pits. Matthew Dyer as well, who is currently some laps down, also needs to come down before the end of tonight's race. So Evan Longacre with the lead at this moment. He's going to come down into pit road. Very, very good entry there. Makes it look easy. Folks, I can't stress to you enough how difficult these pit road entries can be sometimes. Texas, it doesn't look too bad as far as getting yourself down into pit road coming out of turn 4, but let me tell you, sometimes it can be pretty treacherous and have its own difficulties, to say the least. But here today, it appears that we are going to see excellent pit stops, excellent racing, and green flag pit stops, to say that as well. Great to see that. I really, really was hoping that these drivers were going to be able to do so here and kind of see where the field was going to shake themselves up, and it appears to be Colby Baber is going to be the one to come out on top of the pit strategies here tonight. Like I was kind of thinking a little bit earlier, the 10 driver came in lap 117, just a few laps before everyone else, and finding himself up here in the lead now. On lap 123 of 55, only 6 laps before the 25 laps left to go comes across our screen, so he doesn't have long to go, and with lap times now it's back down to 29 seconds, especially with drivers getting themselves in drafts and so on and so forth. Definitely going to start to see the 10 machine get himself away from this field. But looking a little bit further beyond that, Mike Howerton, Billy Fitzgerald duking it out for the 4th place spot at this point in time, as this field is all kinds of spread out. We have playoff drivers all duking for position, trying to get the best finishing spot that they can, to get the best points that they possibly can, and secure themselves a spot going into the round of 8. Colby Baber continuing on with his lead here tonight. Robert Cook, Evan Longacre, they're going to duke it out for the 10th place spot. At this moment, you see lap traffic. Matthew Dyer making his way down to the bottom of the track, just getting out of the way here, making sure that he doesn't become an issue for any of the drivers here tonight. But meanwhile, some battles brewing on the track, but everyone at this moment is just clicking off green flag laps, waiting for that checkered flag to come out here tonight. And I'm certain that if if I was Colby Baber, if I was David Santini, Jeffrey Meyer, I mean, it's absolutely tense up there in the top 3 spots. Even though Colby has quite the gap between himself and David Santini, I mean, it's still tough racing up there behind the wheel. So you got to give credit where credit is due. David Santini starting to get himself a good run on the 10 of Colby Baber with 26 laps left to go. Are we going to see a potential fight for the lead between these two drivers? It looks to be that way as Santini continues his drive into turn number 1. Again, Santini, the all-white machine here, I'm assuming having troubles with trading paints here tonight. The paint scheme just not showing up properly on my end here, but still able to show who he is on timing and scoring, and that's all that we need for this race here tonight. And Colby Baber starting to feel that pressure in the rear view mirror of that 10 car. We can actually probably see that here from the... That's the wrong view. There it is. So you can see just barely the roof of David Santini's 79 car in there in the left rear view mirror. That's a menacing view. I gotta say, you know, and a lot of times that's a strategy that is used in racing. You want to get in the mirrors. You want to be in the mirrors of that driver. You want to make sure that they know that you're there. And so David Santini doing a very good job of that here tonight. Just trying to put as much pressure as he possibly can on Colby Baber. Right up to the bumper, down the front straight, out of turn 4. Santini continuing on with his fight for the lead. Baber just playing it off, smooth and cool, but here out of turn number 2, down the back straightaway, we're side by side nearly. Between the 10 and the 79 machine, Santini down to the inside, Baber on the outside. Santini with the lead, but only by inches here as we come into turn number 1. Santini with the inside line advantage. Coming through turn number 2 and out onto the back straightaway, it's going to be the 79 in the lead here. Baber now going to have to find a response here with 21 laps left to go. Will the championship leader find an answer here before the end of the race, or will he be stuck in this second place position when the checkered flag flies as we come into turn number 1? Colby Baber staying down low as much as he can, just now trying to build up some draft, some momentum to get himself back up to the rear of David Santini. That's going to take a little bit of time. Hopefully the speed that you build down the back straight will aid in doing that here as we come through turns 3 and 4, but looking a little bit beyond that here while that happens up in the front. Mike Howerton right smack dab in the middle between Jeffrey Meyer and Derek Whitford. That is not Derek Whitford. That is Stephen Davis, excuse me, behind Mike Howerton here. Lap traffic going to be in the mix as we go back into turn number 1. Howerton trying to get a run on Jeffrey Meyer. The 50 machine also looking to get himself back up into really the top 3 at this point. He's back in the top 5, but he started at the front of this race, and having fallen back now into 5th place, he is got a lot of work ahead of him with 18 laps left to go, and with a 13.5-second gap between himself and David Santini. It's going to take a late caution here for that to happen, and frankly, I don't think, I'm certain there's probably some drivers that would want to see a caution come out here, but the likeliness of it, I don't think is too high at this moment, as drivers are kind of scattered throughout this track. Not a whole lot of battles happening at this moment, so not a whole lot of opportunities for drivers to make mistakes or to get into one another. As we continue to watch along with this battle here for 5th place, Meyer doing a great job of defending this spot with 15 laps left to go. Not a whole lot of time left here before we see that checkered flag wave here at Texas Motor Speedway. David Santini probably feeling on top of the world at this point in time, as right now up 14 spots from where he started tonight, and now leading this race with 14 to go. He has been working up this field for quite some time, and now has the opportunity to take home the win for the Lone Star 232. And all he's got to do is just take it around 14 more laps before he sees that checkered flag here tonight. So got to give credit to David Santini for doing as well as he has here tonight. Colby Baber now in that 2nd place spot, still falling back just a little bit. Mike Howerton looking to make a move down on the inside of Jeffrey Meyer in the number 50 machine. As we come out of turn number 4, down the front straightaway, there's contact between the 90. This is potentially the caution that we were looking for, and they continue on. The race stays green with 12 laps left to go. Tense moments between Jeffrey Meyer and the 90 machine lap traffic of Steven Davis. Nine laps left to go here, folks. The action is calm. Everything is steady here for this field, and I gotta say, for David Santini, I don't think this could have worked out. This worked out very well in the favor of David here in the 79 machine. And with that near contact that we almost saw just a few moments ago, it could have been very close for these drivers, for this field. I mean, if we would have saw that late stage caution come out, and there's still a potential for that to happen here. I mean, someone could get loose all on their own. All of a sudden, they're facing the wrong direction on the racetrack, and race control, they have to throw the yellow because it's a hazard to everyone that's on the racetrack, and they have to clear it. But right now, with 7 laps left to go, it doesn't seem like there is going to be that happening here tonight, as, again, a lot of this field having seen themselves pretty well stretched out for tonight's race. Not a lot of drivers fairly close to one another. As we're kind of taking a look throughout this field, I mean, we're seeing gap times of about over a half a second. And so with 6 laps left to go, it's pretty calm for the dash to the end of tonight's race. 155 laps here at Texas Motor Speedway, and it has been a lot of exciting action here tonight. Now for Colby Baber, being that he's going to take home a second place spot here, he should be able to retain his lead in the championship. But David Santini with the win here, I don't know, he might be pushing his way ahead of Evan Longacre in that second place spot. So it might change to a battle between Colby Baber and David Santini after tonight's race is said and done. Billy Fitzgerald, currently 7th in the championship, going to be looking to put himself on the podium tonight and get himself a little bit of a boost in the points, but unsure where that's going to put him after tonight, and hopefully we'll be able to get an update on that before we end off the broadcast tonight. But 3 laps left to go here at Texas Motor Speedway. As we cross the line, it's 2 to go. It's the final dash here for these drivers, and right now I gotta say, I think it's going to be fairly determined at this point in time who is going to come home where. Across the checkered line, the white flag flies. Here at Texas Motor Speedway, it's the final lap for the Lone Star 232. David Santini in the lead, Colby Baber in second, Billy Fitzgerald in third. As we come through 3 and 4, what a race it has been here tonight. David Santini with a great drive, coming home with the win. Colby Baber, a close run, ultimately going to come home second place here tonight, and Billy Fitzgerald in third as the rest of the field continues to make their way across the checkered line here tonight, and David Santini gets himself ready to burn it down on the checkered line here tonight in celebration of his win at Texas Motor Speedway. And while he does that, we have our post-race results up here on screen available for us here tonight. So we are also going to go ahead and get ready for our post-race interviews. Starting off with Billy Fitzgerald in the 22 machine. Billy Fitzgerald going to be up here in the booth first tonight. Let's go ahead and bring him up here. Billy, sir, welcome to the booth. Congratulations on your third place finish here tonight. Texas Motor Speedway definitely had a lot of ups and down moments to it, it seemed like. A lot of well, I don't want to say a lot because it really wasn't a lot. We had a few drivers getting into contact with one another here and there. But ultimately, it was only just a handful of drivers at any given point in time. So not really seeing any big ones, quote unquote, here tonight at Texas Motor Speedway, but definitely enough cautions, enough of green flag pit stop strategies being played out here that things were interesting, Billy. And coming into the night, were you kind of prepared for that, or were you just kind of playing things by ear and seeing what you could do in tonight's race?
Well, I ran a decent amount of officials this week, just trying to get used to the track because I usually struggle pretty hard on the long run. And that definitely helped. I felt good all race, but the cautions hurt me. I'm pretty bad at it restarts. So I just tried to hang on, and I pushed as hard as I felt like I could. And I was getting a little loose at the end of the runs. But luckily was able to hang out in third there at the end for a while by myself, so I felt pretty safe.
And with yourself being in the playoffs as well, you're right up in the top 10, I believe, as far as drivers who are qualifying into the round of 8. Actually, top 8 drivers. Let me get that right. But yeah, going into the round of 8, I mean, how are you feeling, after tonight's success? How are you feeling going forward into the rest of the season?
Well,
playoffs, rather.
It's a great time to have my best finish on an oval, so I'll take it. I didn't really expect that. Next week, I think is Talladega. That's, just survive and hopefully it works out. But then I think we have the Roval after that, and so far this season I've been decent on road courses, so as long as I can keep that race clean, it might work out pretty well, and keep pushing from there.
Absolutely. I love to hear it. Well, Billy, it was good to have you up here in the booth tonight, and congratulations on your third place finish. This was a tough race, I gotta say. It definitely was not an easy one, it seemed like, from my perspective up here in the booth. But Billy, congratulations. Hopefully you get to carry that momentum forward into Talladega next week. I know that's kind of a wild card in the playoffs. It's going to be just like you said, kind of just show up and survive sort of race. But hopefully the 22 machine gets to see that podium next week at Talladega. Billy, before we let you go and celebrate, is there anyone watching the broadcast, anyone at home in the pit crew that you want to shout out and thank before you go?
Yeah, the series sponsor, Rapid Fired Pizza, Old School Ninjas, OSN Racing. Those guys have been great helping me out throughout the season. I definitely didn't expect to be getting any podiums within this season, so they've been extremely helpful. And thank you and the rest of the team at Team Goon Squad for putting these on. And I think that's about it.
Awesome. Love to hear it. Thank you for joining me up here tonight, Billy. Congratulations on your podium, and I look forward to seeing you next week at Talladega.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Have a good one. Up next is going to be second place finisher Colby Baber, and also the leader in the points championship Colby, welcome up to the booth. Congratulations on your second place finish. I know it's probably not the win that you were hoping for here tonight, but it was a tough race here tonight at Texas Motor Speedway. And I got to say, between yourself, David Santini, we also seen other drivers, the likes of Jeffrey Meyer, Jesus Andrade, I hope I'm saying his last name correctly, Evan Longacre even, were all giving it a run up there into the lead. But Colby, you find yourself in second place tonight after a lot of calamity throughout the track. Definitely quite a few cautions here in tonight's race, but not as severe of wrecks as you would anticipate hearing that number. But Colby, what was your expectations going into tonight, and did you meet them or exceed them?
Yeah, I think my goal was try to win. In this first round of the playoffs, we've got Texas here tonight, and then next week's Talladega, and then we've got a road course at the Charlotte Roval. So I felt like this was my best chance to try to come out and win and lock myself into that next playoff round. But it was a tough race, like you said, a lot of activity going on. But I'm happy with a second place finish. I got to think long term here toward the points championship. Just got to make it to the last race of the season to compete for that win. So for the championship, so I'm happy with second. That gets us one step closer to the next round, which is all that really matters right now. It's a great race up front. Besides all those cautions, I would have preferred some longer green runs. That's where I'm most comfortable at. That's where I'm fastest at. But David just outdrove me tonight. He was super fast. Had some other people up there as well in the beginning. But yeah, it's just overall a great race for me, and I'm happy to walk away on the podium tonight.
Yeah, definitely got to be satisfied. Coming away with a podium, that's always going to be a good feeling in any race. But Colby, looking forward next week, Talladega, it's a bit of a wild card in the playoffs. Not really a whole lot that you can plan for or expect going into that kind of race. But looking after that, Charlotte Roval, like you mentioned, what kind of preparation are you planning to do, if any at all, and what do you expect going into that race, and how do you think you're going to fare in the Roval?
Yeah, I'll probably start practicing for that Roval this week. Talladega, obviously, pretty easy to drive. It's more of, like you said, a wild card kind of luck situation. Just got to survive and make it to the end and hopefully get a good finish. But so that's going to be my wild card. So I'll focus on preparing for the Charlotte Roval, the road course. I've had pretty good luck this season on the road courses. I've snagged a few podiums. So hopefully that continues and I can just lock myself into the next round and then focus on those tracks.
Absolutely. Well, I love to hear it, Colby. You did a phenomenal job here tonight. You've done an incredible job throughout this season, and hopefully we get to see that success carry forward through the rest of round of 12 and going on forward into the round of 8 and hopefully into that final round of 4. But Colby, before we end things off here tonight and send you off to celebrate your podium here tonight, is there anyone watching the broadcast, anyone in the pit crew, or watching the broadcast that you want to shout out and thank before you head out tonight?
Yeah, I got to thank the sponsors of the series, Rapid Fire Pizza, Old School Ninjas. Thanks to you guys, Goon Squad, for broadcasting the races. Always enjoy watching those afterwards to check out all the stuff that I missed while I was in the driver's seat. Thanks to simracingzone.com for the Toyota Supra tonight. It was a great car, and glad we got home to a podium. So thanks.
Absolutely. Glad to have you up here tonight, Colby, and I look forward to seeing you more throughout the season, and hopefully get to see you back up here in the booth in future races. Alrighty, folks, that was Colby Baber out of the booth here, taking home second place in the number 10 machine. Last and certainly not going to be least, David Santini, the 79 machine, coming home with the win here tonight. David, welcome to the booth after an incredible win here at Texas Motor Speedway. And David, I do got to apologize to you firsthand because you did win here tonight, and well, unfortunately, for some reason or another, you had a pure white car here tonight, which I'm not complaining. It looks kind of cool, but did not get to see the lovely 79 paint scheme throughout tonight's race, so I do apologize for that after you go back and watch the broadcast. But David, what a race that you had here tonight. A lot of cautions. Not a whole lot of drivers getting themselves put out of the race, but definitely a lot of kind of scrambling amongst the field, if you will. What was kind of your plan for tonight's race? And after all of the cautions, after all of the green flag runs that we saw here, I mean, how did that kind of affect your race here tonight, David?
Yeah, no, for sure. I want to start off though. That was my fault for the paint scheme. I messed up the decal layer, and I ended up fixing it after during that first caution. I was fixing it and trading paints, but if you didn't refresh it, then it wouldn't have popped up. But like I said, that's my fault for that. But no, I mean, as far as tonight, earlier in the week we had a setup, and everybody for OSN kind of seemed to enjoy it and like it. I feel like I was one of the only ones that really disliked it, and it just wasn't for me. So actually, it was even today I ended up trying something else, and it was a little slower. It felt more comfortable for me. Short and long run, I could hang on to it a little better, because you just have to set it up to be loose, because you don't want to get tight in 1 and 2 there. You'll get run over. But no, I mean, coming into tonight, I mean, you always come in here wanting to win a race, but I just kind of wanted to not finish, get in a bad spot, wreck, just finish well. I knew we had speed for at least, top 5 or so I was happy with that. But then once the race started and realized how much speed we had, I felt pretty comfortable getting up to the front there and being able to hold some people off there.
Yeah, it definitely looked impressive from where I was watching. You worked your way up from 15th up to first place tonight, and I mean, just the pace that you had tonight, the consistency that you had throughout tonight's race, it was just absolutely phenomenal to see. And refreshing the old iRacing scheme here, or the points here, it does appear that you are in still third place after tonight's race, even with the win. So 795 points to your name. Evan Longacre just ahead of you with 804 points. So 9-point battle for that second place spot, and Colby Baber with 815. So, I mean, you three are all getting very, very close in this points battle as well. Going into the rest of the playoffs, I mean, next week, Talladega Super Speedway. The week after that is the Charlotte Roval. Lots of action to be seen throughout the rest of the season. I mean, David, what's your plan? I mean, Talladega, not really a whole lot that you can do there. It's pretty much show up and race and hope for the best. Charlotte Roval, though, different story. I mean, are you feeling confident going into the road courses, or what's kind of going through your head when you hear road course on the schedule?
Well, next week at Talladega, I wouldn't mind if that race was just 2 laps. And I do not like super speedways. It's too much luck involved and staying out of trouble, and it's just, I don't know. It seems like you can get wrecked out of the lead, or you just kind of have to go to the back and wait for something to happen. But then if you wait too long, it just doesn't work out for you. But not a fan. The road course, though, really looking forward to. I really enjoy those, and I know there's going to be a couple guys, especially Billy, who's on our team. He'll be up there as well, and I think it's going to be fun battling him. We'll see if one of us can get the win there as well.
Yeah, it's going to be great to see. I mean, as much as you might not like super speedways, David, it's always great to see the action up here in the booth. So, it'll still be great to see yourself and the rest of the field out there ripping laps at the super speedway. But yeah, I got to say, I'm right there with you. I'm very excited for the Roval. Road course racing always tickles me in the right way. So love to see that. But David, before we let you go here tonight and celebrate your win, is there anyone watching the broadcast, anyone in the pit crew that you want to shout out and thank before you go here tonight?
I mean, we always have our guys over at the OSN. They're usually watching the stream and stuff. So, big thanks to them. Big thanks to everybody on the team for really coming together here and working really well the past couple weeks. Everybody in the league, everybody over at MSRA who puts the time in here to help. You guys over at Team Goon Squad for doing the great broadcast for us, and then for Nitro Racing with Jeffrey for coming on board here too as a sponsor for the playoffs here. So appreciate them coming on, and yeah, thanks a lot, guys.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for joining me up here in the booth tonight, David. Congratulations once again, and I look forward to seeing you next week at Talladega.
Yeah, appreciate it, man.
Alrighty, folks, that was David Santini out of the booth here tonight. coming home with the win for the Longstar 232. That is going to conclude our coverage of the race here tonight for the 2022 MSRA Rapid Fired Pizza Nationals. Also brought to you by Old School Ninjas, Jeffrey Meyer, and Nitro Racing. My name is Mason Heimbaugh with Team Goon Squad, bringing you the action here tonight. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all same time, same place next week at Talladega Superspeedway. Thank you all for watching. See you all next time.